Recording the session. I'm going to press broadcast now. I'm going to disappear and you're good to go.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all well. I'm in Dubai. My name's Udo Oji. I've been a geek all my life, and at the moment it's 10:31, and I've been up since 5 o'clock. So I'll try to give you as much energy as I can. I'm very tired. One thing that I must say, there's going to be very little AI talk in this talk. So I'm sure you've been AI'd out. I am a real person though, so maybe that's good. So instead, I want to talk about the art of falling. Okay, so let's delve in. Okay, so this is interactive. So I'm going to ask you all to give me just in the chat, when was the last time you fell? Okay, so just type in when you think the last time you fell was in the chat. Okay, 3 months ago, last year. Okay. Beginning of the year. Anyone else? Okay. So what if I said what most of you said you fell months ago? What if I said, would you consider that you actually, I just loads, standing, walking, running, and jumping are actually falling? Now we never thought of it like that, but if you think when you're walking, what you're actually doing is that you're putting your center of gravity off balance, and only by putting another limb down do you stop yourself falling. It's really odd because we don't think about walking, running, and jumping as falling. Um, and that is very interesting for me. It's one of the things that I've always found fascinating. So I can see probably I'm not convincing a lot of people that you're falling. Okay, so let's think about what we think is falling. Okay, now what are the things that we associate with falling? Well, if we think about the traditional sense of falling, it would be something like something when you fall, you can hurt yourself, um, which could lead to something even worse, like you break something. Or maybe you're in a public arena and people might laugh at you. But most of all, it's really quite difficult getting up from falling, especially if it's a surprise to you. But okay, what about why do we fall? What causes, what leads to you falling often? Well, there's a peripheral stuff, it's non-exhaustive list this is, but let's just study some of the things that lead to falling. You might be distracted, for example, you're reading, like this young lady is reading an iPad and falls over something that it shouldn't be there, or the ground could move, for example. We've all had well, I haven't had this exact problem, but where maybe your footwear is the wrong thing that you're wearing. Or it could be you simply miscalculate where the ground is. Or you could have, you have a plan of doing something like running, and your plans are interrupted. So one of the common things is you're rushing to do something and then you fall over. That happened to me all the time when I was getting on the train. But something that's very much in common with falling over, it's one thing in common, is that you're actually trying to do something. At the time you normally fall over, you're trying to do something, which is very important. So why don't we consider movement, walking, running, jumping, why don't we consider it as falling? Uh, Let's talk about walking. Let's see what we understand about that. And most of all, you know, when do we learn to walk? Well, we learn to walk when we're babies, and it's a process of development. It takes quite a long time. Most babies don't walk until at least the age of 1. But in that moment, between that time, they're growing their muscles, getting better at coordinating. I mean, if you have a child, you've seen them go through this process, but as an adult, you don't remember any of this. One of the things about walking and crawling, it requires support, and with parents are always absolutely, fascinated and excited when our children move, and that actually plays on them. And falling is also part of a process because you don't, baby doesn't walk automatically. They actually fall over quite a lot of times. But most important, it's actually fun. And what do I mean by fun? Well, I'm going to show you a picture of my daughter. This is with her permission. Um, this many years ago. She's a mini adult at the moment, and this is my demo of when she was young. I don't know if you're going to hear the sound, but I didn't see the sound button on here. I hope you can hear. Yeah, and that's everything I said about walking. That when we learn to walk, it's really a supportive process, and that is my really short presentation on the art of falling. However, there's one more thing I want to talk about, which is actually it's going to come on. I don't know why my machine's going so slow, but lovely technical error, technical faults at the moment, which I don't know why. Let me just unshare my screen and do this again. Give me one moment. Oh, that's good. So my machine is giving up on me. Give me 1 second.
No worries. If anyone does have any questions, though, please put it in the chat and the Q&A section.
Hey, Keynote has failed. This is quite funny. I'm just going to restart Keynote, and then I'll continue.
Okay.
Almost there. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. Okay, so you can see the screen. I do apologize. Something happened to the keynote, which is quite interesting because I want to talk about the art of failing, which you just saw my keynote failed. So now in the chat, tell me the last time that you failed. Was it a day ago, a week ago? Just put the last time you failed in chat. Think about when the last time you failed was. This week is good. Good enough. But it's quite interesting because when we look at failure, very similar to falling, but there's something about failure that we really don't like. And what is it? Like, can hurt, can be disappointing. You can feel a sense of shame. You can break something, a run of success, or, a feeling of being good. You can be judged by your failures. If you're on work, you can be negatively rated. You failed to deliver a project, and all of a sudden you've got a 2 instead of a 3. And also, getting up from failure is extremely hard. So let's actually think about failure. Why do we have such a big stigma about failure? And we've all heard it. We normally hear, failure, is the keystone to success. You hear all of this, but why is there still a program of work against failure? I mean, like I just said, you get rated badly in work if you fail, unless you're in a great workplace. But many, that's the case. But yet we all know that failure is part of improvement. But what about you yourself? How do you view the word failure? Now, if you really have a problem, which lots of people do, with the word failure, I'll suggest that you don't think of failure as anything but practice. And every time you think of failure, you should actually think of practice. And in my workplaces where I work and where I lead teams, I don't say it's failure, I say we're practicing at being good. So you'll never get marked down where I work for failing because it doesn't exist. We have to fail. You have to practice to get good. And this is kind of what I want to talk about. So why is practice good? Well, I could read this out. If you look in a book, this is what it says. Noun is practice refers to an act of repeatedly doing something to improve or acquire proficiency in skills and activities. It's involved a consistent and deliberate effort to develop competencies. And this is so important, isn't it? This is what we know is right. But what it misses there is that repeating is the thing that you don't repeat doing the same thing all the time. You are actually failing a lot of the times to get good at something, which is why practice is so revered, is that the repeating part is success. We know that that's good. While when we talk about failing fast and all of these things, it's there's still a stigma against the failing. So just practice fast then if you don't want to have that stigma. And the same thing goes with the verb, meaning of engaging in a specific activity, offering with an intent of improvement and refining one's ability. It implies the repetition of an action or an application of knowledge or skill. So yeah, we know practice is good. And practice and failure are the same tenets. It's just that people put something bad on failure. Anytime you go into an organization and they talk about failure, or if they tell you that you failed or not done something. I know in the UK they don't say fail that much, but in Dubai they've got no, no, no. They don't care about all of their PM or PR or whatever it's called nowadays. They tell you straight away you failed. No, I've just practiced. So today you've heard a lot about AI, and if you're one of them people who've not tried any AI, go and practice. If you haven't tried ChatGPT, practice. Lovable, go and practice. So if you practice, it's better that you practice because someone else is practicing. That my presentation, and I could watch my daughter all day, but I won't play it again. If you've got any questions, open to any.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And she's very, very adorable. That was a great presentation. I didn't realize that halfway through that failure was part of it. It was also great acting on your part, because I was completely, I was taken in there. It was very, very good. But
Indeed.
yeah. Any questions from anyone? Anyone want to share when they last failed and what it was, or practiced? Awesome.
Wonderful.
So thank you very much, and please stick around. Yeah, give more rounds of applause and other comments and reactions, because that was a great talk. And hopefully you'll be around. I know it's very late, you might be shooting off right now, but if you do step into a lounge, then I'm sure people will ask you more questions. But amazing talk. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
For being here at so late as well.
Indeed. Indeed.
But yeah. All right, everybody. Yes. On to the next one. Thank you very much. Great talk. Lots to take away. We'll see you shortly for the next talk. All right. Thanks. Bye.